So now, without further ado, we have an amazing woman that has been a business owner and in the community, and I'll let her tell you about all of that. But if we could welcome to the stage Ashley Henderson. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, hi guys. Is it okay if I go ahead and sit?
Yeah, of course it is.
I am Ashley Henderson. I am the owner of Cotton Bells Boutique and Company for a little over 8 years now. April 1st, we celebrated 8 years.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
a
you.
big deal.
That kind of is, right?
Well, yeah, because you know that most businesses, it's like the 3-year hump or slump, whatever. So the first year, you're just trying to make it. The second year, you're hoping to survive. And the third year, and let's hope they don't throw a pandemic or something in the middle of those. But generally, if you make it past the third year, your survival rate is great. And you made it to 8. So that's, we should give a round of applause for that. That's amazing.
I was going to say, with the survival mode, don't forget the hurricane and the freezes and all the other fun stuff, too. So celebrating 8 sweet years, definitely all the trials and the errors and everything that go along with it. But yes, so back to who I am a little bit. I bounce around all over the page, you guys.
It's okay. We're here for it.
So I've been married to my husband, Scott, for, I think we celebrated 11 years in June, y'all. That sounds
awesome.
So bad. I'm like, I think 11. So I think 11 years. We have 3 babies. Joey Michelle, who's 8, Rush, who's 4, and Rip, who's about to be 2. They are all over my Facebook page. I am that mom, but it's just with Cotton Bells. I'm like, you have a roof over your head and you're fed. You're going to be my free models. That's the way it works. So we roll with that. But yeah, so I am very blessed. I get to live out my little dream every day, owning a business, being a wife and a mom.
That's amazing. And so tell me kind of a little bit about where you grew up and what kind of family you came from.
So we're a little crazy. But I grew up in Ganado, Texas, born and raised, and I am still there to this day and very blessed. I get to raise my family there with my husband. And I have a fabulous little village with me. I love it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And we are farmers. So I know you and I were talking about this, but, a lot of people, when they hear of Cotton Bells Boutique and Company, they're like, kind of, what is this? Is it just cotton items in there? What is it? Well, so my daddy actually named my store. So the thing is I had started a little business. Actually, my first little business I started was when I was going to fashion school in New York. And I was just visiting with the gentleman. And I said, whenever I left Ganado High School, I could not wait to go off where nobody knew me and where I was just going to be lazy. Because, in a small town, everyone knows you, which is another blessing. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But I was involved in everything. So I could not wait to go off to college, to be lazy and not really know anyone. Well, I get to college, and that wasn't the case. I was in fashion, president of the fashion club, and I started my own little business because that's just how I am. And so my first business was called Auntie Couture because I was an aunt and an auntie, and that was my pride and joy. My nieces and nephews are my world. And then you have children, and it's like, oh, okay, I can love even a little more, Yes. And so my family was, really important to me, and so we are farmers. And so my daddy named my business, and like I was going on and saying, my first business name was Auntie Couture, and then I get back home, I start kind of another little business, and it was High Cotton by Ashley. And I kind of kept going back to family and farming because that's my roots. That's who I am, that's what I am, and that's what I'm very proud of. And I have seen and watched my parents struggle, get through hard times. I've seen the good times. I've seen them go back to hard times and then get to the good times again. And I am blessed that we've always, as children, always saw the good times. But whenever you got older, you could see things and how they were just, getting by sometimes and providing and doing what they had to do for us kids. And so for me, I always get teary-eyed, you guys, when I talk about this. But for me, I I have 3 older brothers, and being the only girl and the youngest, I feel like it's just always important to remember where we came from. And so I always just wanted to involve my farming roots. That is who we are. And I'm very proud of that. And even going through the not so fun times, it builds you, it builds character. And I'm grateful and thankful for those, because that did prepare me to own Cotton Bells Boutique Company, and thankful that my daddy came up with the name.
I love it, and I love that the name has a story behind it, because that's a lot of times what I tell people in business. Well, what's something that resonates with you? What's the story behind it? Because then when you tell that, people can say, oh, that's really special. Your daddy named it, and you're from a farming family and background and community. So that has something really special. It's not just, oh, I'm going to name it this because that sounds great. It actually has meaning behind it. And I think that's really cool, because it stands for something.
It does. And I think just, taking that name and running with it, kind of like your last name. You need to be proud of it and stand for it and do the best you can. And so it was kind of just a thankfulness, even towards my parents. I see you guys, I see what you have done, what you have given us, and I will always be grateful and thankful. And I hope to leave all that and do that for my babies as well.
I totally understand that. Yes, and I hope my kids, as well as you do, will say that, right? That's what we all want as parents. That's goals. And so you're talking about going off to school in New York. What school did you go to? And, what was that like, coming from a smaller community to that? And what brought you back, right? Because I always love when people come back. I always want to know, well, why'd you come here? And why did you invest in a business in Victoria? Kind of what was that full circle moment like?
So I'm going to start from the beginning. I was in 5th grade in Miss Connor's class in Ganado, and we had to do a school project. And our project was what we wanted to be one day. I always had that tomboy side. I always had it, and I still have it. I love football. I love it. I love it. That's probably my favorite sport. And so I was always a girl in recess all through elementary. I was playing football with the guys. However, I was going to have the best pink fabulous dress you would have ever seen, okay? So it's all about balance. And so we were Miss Connor's 5th grade class. And so I always knew I loved fashion. But I knew I could not draw to save my life. I mean, my stick figures would make somebody cry. So I always wanted to be a designer, but I couldn't draw. So I always kept that in the back of my mind. So we're doing our research, and I saw, fashion merchandiser, and I saw they made $50,000. It's like, oh, that sounds like a lot of money. I am going with that, and it's fashion. So I did my report on it and everything, and since the 5th grade, I have said I am going to fashion school in New York City, and I will be a fashion designer. That was just what I was doing. My parents never really took me serious, and so we're getting along to senior year. My 3 older brothers, they all went to Texas A&M. One of them, he even walked on to play football. And so we love A&M. I just didn't want to go there. I knew what I wanted to do. So I didn't get into A&M. So I go up, and we're living at the trailer house in College Station with one of my brothers at the time and our roommates, my cousin at the time. And I'm attending Blinn, and I am just not happy. I'm working at a fabulous boutique there, though, and I'm not happy. So I am applying to fashion schools in New York. I was like, this is what I'm doing. So I get accepted to LIM, and it's the Laboratory Institute of Merchandising, and I get accepted. And so I was on cloud 9. I remember finding out at the Closet Door Boutique that I was working at the time in College Station. And so I call my mom, and I'm like, I'm going. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. And so it's so funny. My mom has always been kind of the quiet, timid one, not really to go and do. My dad, he goes, does, try, we're going to live. He was not having it with me. And my mom was like, we've got to let her do this. Like, she is going to do it. Like, her, It's like, I will. So they jumped on board, thank God. And that following semester, we get up there, and the school was great. We had the orientation and everything. Mom and Dad went with me. I was scared to death. And I remember they did kind of like a going-away party for my parents' home, and I remember, I think it was one of my uncles, God love him, he meant no harm, but he was like, oh, she'll be back, and I'm like, oh, honey, okay, I got to prove you wrong, you know? So I get up there. I was so homesick, y'all. So homesick the first week and a half. And I was like, oh, dear God, you gotta help me, dude. I can't go back. I can't go back. You've got to help me. So finally, I got over being homesick, and I got into my classes. It was all going great. I was exploring the city. I loved every second of it. I got so sick and tired, though, when everybody would ask me, "You're not from New York, are you?" No, I'm not. Yeah, if you can't tell by the accent, I'm sorry. You know, yeah, I'm from Texas. But no, I loved it. The city was wonderful. I met some amazing people. One of my best girlfriends, she's from New Jersey, and her family, they kind of took me in. They were just like mine. If I didn't come home for holidays or anything, I was with them, so we're still very close. I'm, grateful and thankful for them. But like I said, I love New York. I miss it every day. I wish there was like a tree planted there, like in honor of me or memory of me or something. I don't know, but I loved the city. It made me a little tougher. It definitely did. And I actually, so I started, whenever I graduated from LIM, I did an internship at Bergdorf Goodman, and it was unbelievable. I was in their buying department, and it was phenomenal. The experiences I had, I remember going to one of Victoria Beckham's fashion shows and sitting there and doing the buying with her, and it was a whole nother level. What I got to see and do, it was just awesome. It was great. And I'll just forever be thankful for that. And it's kind of one of those things, too. You know, you can grow up in the middle of a cotton field, and you can take off to New York and do whatever you want, you know? So I hope I can instill that in people and in my babies. You know, you can do whatever you want.
Well, and I think that's so inspiring, and it's interesting, too. This is why I love these little nuggets of knowledge that you learn from these. You were sitting with Victoria Beckham, buying things with her. And, I wonder how many people that have gone in your store that have no clue that you're not just opening a store, that you actually went to school for this, and this is your passion since 5th grade, so but you've also done really big things, and then you came back here to share your knowledge and to share your passion. And so what was a deciding factor of being back in this area?
And I don't like to use the word regrets. That's a strong word. I don't really like to say that. But I do wish, so I'll answer your question, but I do wish I would have stayed in the city, which I learned you say the city instead of New York City. I learned that. And I do wish I would have stayed there a little longer, not came home so quick for this one special little guy, No, I had just always said I was going to school there. I did my internship, and I actually worked at a marketing agency there as an internship as well. And then I worked at another boutique there, Pookie and Sebastian, that was super close to my apartment. And so I had always said I was just going to fashion school there, and I was coming back home, and I was opening my own boutique. That was just kind of what I had always said, and I kind of had stood by it. And that's what I did. And it was kind of funny. I had always said that my boutique name was going to be Sweet Peas. That's what I had came up with in elementary. So it's funny whenever I ask people, in Ganado, I think I even did like a little question thing on Facebook one time. I was like, does anybody remember what my boutique name was supposed to be? And they were like, yes, it was Sweet Peas, because I talked about it all the time.
That's what I call my daughter, Sweet Pea, because her name's Presley, so that's adorable.
Well, and so my Puppo Labai, he always called me Sweet Pea. So that's kind of where that was supposed to come from. So, but I didn't go with that. I changed the name of it thanks to good old Dad. So
well, I love your name that you picked, and I love the meaning behind it. So I think that's, really special too. So you're talking about having this plan since 5th grade. I think that's really phenomenal to learn that you had this vision, this plan, and you actually executed it, right? Because I think a lot of us have all these ideas, of what we want to be. And I said that recently with the Lucky Robot toy store. I said it's funny because I remember telling a teacher, these things stick with you. This is what people need to know. When you're young and you're in school, you take that stuff with you forever. And I remember a teacher telling me, I said, I want to be a toy tester, because I'd seen it on the movie Big. You guys remember that? And so I was like, yeah, I want to be a toy tester. She's like, well, that's not really a realistic job. You should probably put something realistic. And I was like, no, to me it is. If he did it in the movie, I can do it too. And so now I'm like, I'm doing it, but it's cool when you're younger and you actually take that idea and do it. And I think that's why talking to kids about, what they want to do, that we do that with Innovation Collective, is I ask kids, what do you want to be? Not when you grow up, just what do you want to be? And one kid was like, I want to be a fashion designer for ponies. And I was like, that's awesome. Yeah, I drew a whole picture, and I was like, that's actually could be a thing. I know people in the horse pony world, they spend a lot of money, and they love their animals. So. Yeah. But it's not being negative and saying like, oh, no, you can't. And I do love that your teacher wasn't like that your teacher's always, okay, and you did the research, and then you actually went and executed it. So that's also one of those nuggets of knowledge. Just know when you talk to people, and that's adults too, when they get their idea out of their head, I've had people be like, well, it's really stupid. I'm like, have you heard of Elf on the Shelf? Come on, people. Like, it's an elf that watches your children. So I don't think any idea is really stupid. I think that it's, let's find out how to execute it and actually make it into something and have a plan behind it. And then it can grow and become something, And so I think that's really special what you said, because I don't know if a lot of people really see an example like that. And it shows how important that is, believing in yourself and having others believe in you.
And, you kind of go back to talking about having a plan and everything. I have told everyone always, y'all, come to me for what not to do. Just come to me. I'll save you time. I'll save you headache, heartache, and money. Come to me for what not to do. And that's where kind of I wish, and my husband, he would tell me this also, I'm one, I just kind of jump into stuff, and then I'll figure it out later, And so I have tried to do a lot better. And the whole balancing and juggling of things and stuff. And, there's a lot of resources here that can help you tremendously to where you're not alone. Or if you're not for sure what to do, yes, we have fabulous Google right now. Yes, I always say Dr. Google when I have to ask a question about my child's cut or something, whatever. But yes, the internet is wonderful, but I know I tell a lot of businesses, and there was a few opening in Ganado and stuff, I'm like, go use the small business at, UHV, like, go.
They're
go,
great, yes,
go.
They're a wonderful resource.
Yes, I have relied on them since the day I opened. I email them questions. It is unbelievable what is out there for small businesses, and that's what I hope I can always help people, help them learn that, because a lot of people, they don't know that. And to have it, it's free, it's there for you to use and for your advantage. You're going to learn something. And another kind of thing I wish I would have done sooner, again, I'm bouncing all over the page, y'all, cut me off. But, like my website, I wish I would have done my website 8 years ago. That was another big thing. And I feel like a lot of us small business owners, and this is even myself, like with my day-to-day life, I feel like I have to do it all. No, you don't. And I think I told you on the phone a few months ago, you're not getting a Cartier diamond tiara. You're not getting it for doing it all, unfortunately. But it's taken me a while, but if you're a smart business owner, you learn how to allocate and pay people to do these little tasks and jobs. But we sit back and we think, oh no, I got to save money. I can't do that.
Money. Yeah.
So wrong, you guys. It is so wrong, so wrong. And I can say that because it's taken me 8 years to figure that out. And the best thing I did was hire somebody to do my website for me. That has been the biggest, it has been wonderful. So I try to, just talking with customers who are coming into the store, they might be wanting to do a little pop-up or start a little something. Nothing crazy. They just want something, And I'm like, first of all, do it. Use your resources. But don't think you have to do it all yourself. Pay. And we all think when we think of paying somebody that it's going to cost this astronomical amount. It's not going to. It's not. You would be shocked. I know I was. And like I said, I wish I would have done it a lot sooner. So that's where I hope I can help and guide and share the tidbits with everyone.
Well, it's fantastic because I know you do mentor and help a lot of people and even in like businesses like yours. And I think that's such a great example that we need, to continue in the community. I've seen that an uptick in that, which is fantastic. And, like you said, when you're a business owner, it is funny how you have all this stuff on your plate and you think, well, no, I just need to do this. And then sometimes you feel like no one else could do it like you, right? I think most of us are guilty like that. Well, no, they don't know it like I do. They don't do this, but then you're not taking vacations. You're not taking care of yourself. You're struggling with work life, trying to balance it all and figure it out.
Yes.
And, so I think it is such great advice that it's okay to hire somebody. It's okay to reach out to resources and help. Like you said, we have so many phenomenal resources. Innovation Collective, we're lucky to be part of that resource. SBDC, there's just so much. Our city, they have great programs, that they offer for businesses starting out. UHV, they have a lot, and Victoria College. I could go on and on about the list, and we are really, really lucky that we are in a community where people will rally behind you when you're doing a business, just like you do for other business owners. But it is true, you get in that slump, and then you pay somebody, you're like, oh, it's like $100, and that would have taken me like 5 months. Oh, and you get these numbers in your head, and you think it's this thing. And so that has been such a great piece of advice that I haven't heard on this stage given before, because that is what I see a lot of business owners struggle with, is that they're not allocating because they think they can't afford it, or they're not making those business plans and meeting with someone who knows how to do that, so that you kind of can project where you're going in your future. And so you talked about balance and all of that, and we had a conversation earlier that I thought was really great. There really is no such thing as balance as an entrepreneur. You figure out what works for you, and even if your life doesn't seem right to someone else, that doesn't matter. It's your life. You're that business owner. You're that family person, or whatever you have going on in your personal life. You're never going to be able to do it. And we were talking about the Think Big Festival, how I see a few of you who went to it out there in the audience. Susan Palin, she was talking about how, she had family and all this, and she created Beats Headphones by Dre. She's like one of the main people and does a lot of awesome stuff. And someone asked her that question, well, you have a family, how do you balance? And she's like, there is no such thing as balance. And I love that someone like her said that, because that was actually really good for me too, to learn, to hear her say that, because like you were saying, you have little kids, all this stuff, and I realized that my life works for me, so that's okay. And you're talking about how your life works for you, and we were talking about, you tell me a little bit about what you told me about the kids and everything.
Yes, and it was so funny. I was so proud of myself, because in my home life, I got cabinets and drawers and closets organized for the kids. I mean, I thought I was totally winning at life. Well, and I was telling Carissa, it's like, if you're doing great mothering and at home, I would feel like I'm failing at my store world. Well, and then it was today, I actually worked at the store today, and I'm like, God sends me people when he knows when I need them. And a customer comes in today, and she's like, your store is just beautiful. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I got to do this. I need to do this. This is missing. This, that's what's going on in my mind nonstop. And I was just like, girl, I needed to hear that. Thank you. She's like, no, this is really, really nice. I was like, thank you so much. And I think it's kind of one of those things too, and this is where social media, sometimes as business owners, we want to get on there and we want to compare ourselves. Just don't even waste your time. Just don't, because just why? And it drives me crazy. You need to root, you need to cheer for the others, be happy, be positive. But when you start doing that, you're taking away from your time that you could be putting towards your business, bettering yourself, bettering your home, whatever it is. And, on Facebook, everything seems so happy-go-lucky.
It's curated for you to see. You didn't see the 3 dogs running around and like someone knocking at your door, your child running around, they need their diaper changed, and the 5 phone calls, and you're trying to figure it all out. Something's boiling over on the stove. They're not showing you. I almost wish they would make something called Real Book, and it's like where everybody posts their real stuff. But that's the stuff you don't see, that behind the scenes stuff. And that's what I was, a few of you saw the video I made the other day of the new business owners that are at the Mitchell School, and I thought it was so special because I walked down the hall and I was looking at what was happening,
Right.
and it was all these families in there, and they had little kids in walkers, and, the husband was painting or their friend was
Yeah.
there helping them get ready. And it takes a village. And, that's a
does.
behind the scenes thing that you don't see always,
Right.
that you don't get to know about, the
Right.
peek behind the curtain,
Yes.
So I think you're spot on, like comparing yourself. It's not great. It's not good for business, and it's not good for your mental health as a
No.
business owner.
No.
And
No.
you don't know what's going on in
Right.
their life. And so I think that's so important to
Yeah.
point out in a digital age
Right.
where we don't know if it's AI generated nowadays, right? So I think that's so important to talk about. And then we also talked about negativity. Being a business owner and going on Facebook and being negative, that never gets you anywhere. And that's not good etiquette either. So it's all those little nuggets of knowledge that we learn, right? But it takes us some time. We've all done the comparison game where it makes you feel like you're super failing because they're doing all these things. You're like, how are they doing that?
Right.
But they could have done it 2 weeks ago and they're just posting it all and they put it all together. We don't know.
Right.
And maybe some people just don't sleep. Don't know. But
Exactly,
But yeah,
yes,
we were talking about that, and I thought that was really great because as a business owner, you can consistently feel like you're failing. It's almost like a weird way you can push yourself, and that is not a good way.
It's not. And that's where I felt like I was for, kind of a while, just, being a wife and a mom of 3. And I mean, we have been running ragged all summer, in every which direction. And at the end of the day, I wouldn't have it any other way. And it was
it's
like,
hot.
And it's hot. It's very hot, and it makes me grumpy. But no, and then I think back to the days like when we first opened. I think I was telling you whenever I opened Cotton Bells, my daughter was a month and a half old, or had her February. Yeah, a month and a half old. And so I look back and I'm like, I think I was just crazy and pregnant and not thinking. That's
A
one thing I
newborn
can
and a
think
new
of.
business. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yes. And so, I was trying to, keeping up with the bookkeeping and all that stuff. It's like the only time I could get to the store was like, everything was 5:30 a.m. And I was telling you, I would put Joey Michelle in the Mamaroo. We had her crib in the back, and you make it work and you figure it out. And so that's where it's so important. You have to figure it out for you and your family and your business and what works for you. And looking back now, it's like, oh my goodness, I did get through that. It was okay. I'm doing okay. We're going to keep getting through it.
And you're here 8 years, and we talked about failures, and all of you know by now, I look at failures as not something bad, it's a learning experience. So what learning experiences can you name a few that you had?
How much time do we have? No. Again, and I was kind of telling you, the website, get on that like right now. If you're wanting to open a business or do anything, get on a website right now. Use your resources that are free right here local, even not free. Like we were saying, everyone thinks stuff costs so much. It doesn't whenever you kind of look at your local resources. It really doesn't, you guys. You have got to do your research. Do your research, ask questions, get out in the community, come see businesses. Go talk to a business that you're wanting to open. If you're wanting a boutique, come talk to me. I I could go in depth as far as like taxes stuff and everything. But you do your research, ask questions, come up with a game plan. And for me, it's 8 different artisans that make up Cotton Bells right now. So I'm set up a little different than a lot of small businesses are. And I never thought I would have been a boutique like that. I never thought that. However, at the time, I was pregnant. And I was like, but I want this, boutique. But I also wanted to raise my babies. And I think a lot of it kind of goes back to, I have some girlfriends that are like, yeah, no, my kids are going to the daycare. I'm going to work. I got to have my sanity. Sometimes I think they're a lot smarter. I really do. And I kind of think it goes back to just maybe being how you're raised. My mom, she had to get on the module builder back in the day before they had the round bells now that spit out the cotton pickers. Mom had to do what she had to do at the time, but she raised us and was at home with us. And so I wanted that. And the only way I could kind of have that was having a business, having the different artisans. And there was always kind of a part of me that I always wanted to let other businesses kind of be known that maybe they didn't want to have a full-on boutique, because it's a lot, it's not just a little hobby, it is work. And so it was kind of a win-win for me. I was able to stay at home more with my babies, and other small business owners were able to come in, put in their beautiful merchandise. And then at Cotton Bells, we also have other little pop-ups from all over come in and share their items, which has been a lot of fun, opens a lot of new doors. And they get to put their merchandise out there for those to see in the Crossroads area that a lot of people wouldn't see. And kind of then through that what starts, which I am grateful for our Town and Country Shopping Center, we try to throw fun events. And the Flamingo event has been a big event. Our Night of Thanks, the week before Thanksgiving, has been another one. We have a few others in work. And then we actually started last year our Be Kind Back to School campaign. And that was kind of benefiting and going towards the Children's Discovery Museum and the Vine School, which we're just trying to do little different things. And it probably took me a year or so to realize, okay, Ashley, you have a platform, you're not using it. And this is another thing as a small business owner. If you can sit and if you can write down and look at your failures, you are already winning. Because a lot of people, they know it all and they don't want to be wrong. You're not going to get very far, folks. You won't.
Yes. Great point.
And it took me, which I come from a very giving family. That was one thing. My parents, they give, and give, and they have their entire life. And that's what they instilled in us kids. And I felt like a year and a half, 2 years into my business, yes, you give, little donations. You do what you can, because it is hard sometimes. It is hard. It is. But I was like, okay, Ashley, you have a platform. You got to use it. What can you do better? And so I was trying to give more and do more. And that's great and all, but then after kind of brainstorming with other individuals, I was kind of learning and realizing, whenever we would have like events here in the Crossroads area, like the Symphony Luncheon, it's like, okay, buy a table. Yes, it's for advertising, but yes, you're giving back towards a great cause. And then the purse bingo that comes up, buy a table, and so we have all the ladies who pitch in from Cotton Bells. And so we were just trying to work on different ways to where we could always give back and help other organizations, nonprofits, get known. That's kind of what it's about, being a business owner. And I tell people, I'm like, use me. That's kind of the nicest way I can say it. Use me. Like, what can I do to help get your brand out there, or your nonprofit? Like that's what we're supposed to do. And so I hope I'm doing a better job at that, and I hope other small business owners out there can do that as well.
Well, and you're a vehicle, right, to kind of drive new businesses. They can come have an opportunity to pop up. Maybe they're not quite ready to be a vendor or have their own spot, but I've known quite a few people from Innovation Collective who've got to do that, so thank you.
Yes.
And they were so excited because it was a lot of them their first time to venture out and actually be in a store. And since then, they've got to open businesses and expand. So it's really neat that you're that jumping off point for them. Sometimes you just need someone to believe in you and to give you that pathway, so that's really special that you do that. But I do love that you said we don't know everything, right? Like, you have to have a growth mindset and not a lack mindset. And I think that's a great example of it, is that you need to really realize that you don't know everything as a business owner, and ask questions. Talk to like businesses, not like businesses. Everybody use the resources in the community and beyond. And I think that as you grow and you learn and you talk to people, it's so important. And I think the flip side of that too is that talking to other business owners, you realize you're not alone in your feelings. Because a lot of times when you have a business or you're doing something, or even if you don't have a business, just as a mom or as a person, if you're a student, when you talk to other people in your same kind of similar situation, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. All right. Like, I'm not failing. I just need to kind of figure some things out.
Right.
So I think that's really important too. And I heard you touch on that a little bit. So I really love how you uplift others in your mindset. It's really wonderful to have that in our community, to have you as a business owner here as well. And so you talk about like helping others. Have you had anyone mentor you or help you?
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, let me see. You know, whenever I was first starting, Connie Wood, she owned the Market of Victoria for 10 years, and she sold it. I was kind of able to ask her some questions whenever I was kind of didn't know what to do or which direction to go. So I was able to go to her. She was definitely a very big part of my life. Well, she still is. But as far as being able to ask those business type questions. So I had her definitely to go to. And then I had my oldest brother. He's a lawyer, so that helped.
That always helps. Yeah.
He's a rice farmer now, but we'll keep him. We'll keep him. But, and just in kind of my family, I mean, I'm a big family girl, y'all.
That's wonderful.
They drive me crazy. I don't like them majority of the time, but they're not going anywhere. Ganeto's small, so it's kind of like you got to deal with it.
Isn't that the definition of family, like in the dictionary? Like right there, it says that?
Yes, exactly. So, no, I leaned on my family a lot. But yeah, so I would say Connie Wood, she played a big role for sure. And I was able to kind of reach back out to, I would say, like my New York girls. And ask them advice still, kind of, just try to help me figure out it. I felt kind of lost. Yes, I was very excited, but being like a first-time mom at the same time, you're just kind of like, okay, am I getting all of this down? Am I checking off all the boxes and stuff? So I would say I reached out to the girls up there a lot that helped and guided me as well. So I do have a really good little support system for sure. So, and I still bother Connie as well.
Well, and I think it's so wonderful that someone from the community that had a similar business model was like, yeah, let me help you. Let me give you advice. It was that, competition mindset that was not there. It was actually that, hey, let me help you. Let me uplift you, and you can do it too. And I think that that's so important in our community to have that aspect of that. And, so going your journey of like, 5th grade to having this dream to New York and doing all these amazing things and coming back here and then opening the store, I think it's so cool to see your journey and what you've done and what it kind of morphed into. You had this idea, but then life, happens. You have a baby and then it changes. So what would be your one piece of advice that you would give somebody in our community that was starting a business today?
Come talk to me.
I love that.
Come talk to me. Come talk to me. I'll tell you everything you need to know. I'll get you set up. Come talk to me. Seriously. But yeah, you use your resources. I'm a resource. I know you're a resource. Just come talk to me. If you're opening, or even opening just any kind of a business, like you were saying, any kind of a business, come talk to me. I will, help guide you. I've been very fortunate to meet some pretty amazing people through Cotton Bells. I have had credit cards thrown at me. I have had women pray over me. I have had moms come in. We were their first stop after they lost a child. I have seen it all, kind of, I don't want to say, or dealt with it all kind of type thing. And so I'm always learning something. And at the end of the day, we're all just helping each other out. Sometimes I'm helping a customer just get through a day. And little do they know sometimes when they come in, they're helping me get through a day. So come talk to me.
Can we just talk about that last line she said? That was so beautiful, because I think a lot of times when someone's in a place and they go shop, people think, oh, it's just buying stuff. No, sometimes people need that lift me up, that pick me up, or they're just not wanting to be in their house. And then they don't realize by being there and being vulnerable and having a conversation that it's making your day too. So know when you go to a business that it's really special, and having that experience and that connection. And you never know what you're going to get. It's like Forrest Gump's box of chocolate when you own a business or you do anything. You never know what you're going to get. But having a mentor and asking these questions, it's important because you can navigate these kind of things that come up. in business. And so I'm just so excited. This has been so wonderful. I appreciate you being here. And now is a fun time where we get to have the audience ask questions.
Ooh. I'm going to share something. And, life's trials and errors, they build us, they mold us, they shape us. I want to share something, and I don't know if this will quite answer your question, but just talking about charismatic and your personality and everything. Which I never really talk about this, but I always chose to be positive. I was born, and I don't like to use this word, okay? Stupid. I don't like that word. My mom's probably going to fuss at me. However, I would tell people I was born with a stupid right ankle. And so I was born in a very competitive household. Like I said, I had 3 older brothers. Sports, everything, we thrived on it. We loved it. We lived for it. And so this ankle problem I had, the more active I was, the more pain I had. And so I get into my freshman year of high school, and I make varsity volleyball. And, I'm supposed to be on every varsity sport. This is what I have waited for and dreamed of. Well, I couldn't, because some days I could barely walk. And after volleyball games and cheering and everything, I remember I'd be in so much pain because of this right ankle. I'd be just crawling to my parents' bed full of pain. And so I had a surgery my sophomore year. It didn't help. And they told us that it probably will not help. We're going to try it. And my doctor, he actually had my scans. He wrote a book, and he actually had my scans in this book. And so I go on to my, junior, senior year. I couldn't play basketball. I couldn't run track. And I'm not a girl. You don't say I'm not going to do something. And so it really stunk. Like it really was not. It really wasn't fun. But I had to make a choice. I could cry and be whiny and everything, but I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't raised like that. I had too many blessings. I wasn't going to allow myself to do that. So I had to choose. And I had to choose at a young age to be positive and take something that really stunk and make it for the better. And I chose to do that. And I feel like, not saying I want that on any child ever, but sometimes in life, you have to go through some pretty crummy stuff. Again, not that I want that or wish that on anyone, but that helped build me. And I am grateful and thankful. I had 2 fusion surgeries. The first one didn't take, so I had another one. And I have been pain-free for a few years, because I think it was about 16 years of just pure misery. But going back to that, I'm kind of with you. How do we do that? How do you light that fire? How do you help kids realize, hey, you have so many blessings right in front of you. Be thankful, be grateful. What do we do? And so I know we're not all going to have that story. I didn't mean to go off my tangent, but I just kind of wanted to share with you why I am the way I am. And, I've always said, somebody in this world is going to have it better than you. Somebody's going to always have it worse than you. So we all have to make choices to better ourselves. And we got to light a fire under ourselves sometimes.
No, and what you said was spot on about, how do you make people realize that you went through something? And so I think it's finding the fire starter in people, right? Like, what is that thing that you can pinpoint about somebody? And then you take that and you use that to light that fire and to fuel them. That's where my positivity came from, is I've just always from a young age turned something into nothing, or when something viewed as negative from other people, I've been able to flip the script and change the narrative and say, well, it happened, so what am I going to do with it now? How do I help others with that knowledge? And what can I create from that? So, it's what I've gone through, and I've done that. So I think it's kind of lighting the fire, but finding the fire starter. That was a great question. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. We all give a round of applause. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.